Hello, I'm Sharon Young and welcome to this bite-sized session on supporting the mental health and well-being of your team. This is even more important than ever in the current crisis where people might be struggling with isolation or feeling out of control. This type of situation often serves to aggravate any existing issues, and remote working may mean that you don't see someone as regularly as usual, so you might not be able to pick up any possible changes in behaviours. So it's even more important that you make the time to make contact regularly with every single member of your team, ideally by video rather than phone or just email, and really make every interaction count. Hopefully this session will help you to be more comfortable with having this kind of well-being conversation. I want to make this video as interactive as possible and give you the opportunity to apply the theories and techniques that I talk about to your own situations. So the video is supported by a workbook which includes space for you to make your personal notes and reflections, and also to complete some of the exercises that I'm going to talk about. It also has more detailed information that you can refer to later. You may find it useful to have the workbook with you as you watch this video. At various points I'm going to suggest that you pause and take some time to apply the theories, as we said, to your own situations. To do this, simply move your cursor and then you'll find the pause button will appear in the middle at the bottom of your screen. Just click on that to pause and then click again to restart it. So a lot of people are talking about mental health right now. Let's take a look at some information that shows just why it really is so important for us to talk about our mental health. So firstly, I just want to increase your awareness about some of the facts and figures that have come from a number of different research projects over the last few years. So firstly, research tells us that 1 in 4 people experience some kind of mental health problem each year. We're not talking necessarily about reaching a major crisis, but some kind of challenge with their mental health. 1 in 6 people of working age report what we call a diagnosable mental illness. 1 in 5 people actually have suicidal thoughts at some point, and actually almost 6,000 people every year in the UK take their own life. 70 to 75% of people with some kind of mental ill health don't receive any treatment at all. Mental ill health is actually the leading cause of sickness in the UK at the moment, and it costs UK employers £34.9 billion every year. But despite that, 95% of employees who call in sick with stress give a different reason. Public Health England talks about how important this is. Supporting mental health in the workplace is not just a corporate responsibility. Staff who have positive mental health are more productive, and businesses who promote a progressive approach to mental health can see a significant impact on business performance. So it's about good business too. So of course we want people to be healthy, both physically and mentally, but actually it's not an add-on. It's not about being a doctor. It's not about curing society. It's actually good for your business too. And from a wider point of view, the World Health Organization describes a healthy workplace as someone where employees and managers work together to protect and promote their health, safety and well-being and the sustainability of the business. So the two things go hand in hand. So if we know that mental health is so important, and if we have TV programs and adverts talking about mental health more and more regularly now, why don't people talk about their mental health at work? What are some of the reasons why people have problems, they have challenges, but they maybe don't want to share them with colleagues or particularly with their boss? I'm going to talk through a few things that people might say, things that I've heard people say. I'd like you to see which ones of those you recognise either in yourself or in other people. I don't want to talk about my anxiety because it will affect my chances of promotion. I'm a man. People will think I'm weak. I'm not comfortable telling people about my psychosis because they might think that I'm crazy. They won't understand and they'll just tell me to get over it. It's my own fault really, I just need to sort myself out. I don't want to be labelled. People are going to react differently to me. And you can see what sits behind an awful lot of these is fear. You might have said some of these things yourself when you were struggling with stuff. You might not have shared things with people. You might feel this in other people. But there's a lot of reasons why people don't talk about their mental health at work. But the key thing behind it is fear. So if people don't talk about their mental health, why don't we, as managers, as colleagues, Ask people about their mental health. If we're the ones that are there and picking up on things, and there's just as many reasons and fears for this as there are as to why employees don't talk. Here's a few, again, you might be familiar with. I don't want to start a conversation about mental health because I'm scared how they're going to react. What if they burst into tears? I can't handle that. Well, I can't help them. I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist. Well, there's not really anything wrong with them. They just need to pull themselves together. Do you recognise any of these thoughts from yourself or things you've heard from other people? They probably cover a lot of the main reasons why managers don't speak to their employees about their mental health. And what I'd really like to do during the course of this training session is to hopefully help you overcome some of those fears. So even though it might not be comfortable having these conversations, actually you feel more able to do them. So if we're talking about someone reacting, you don't know how they're going to react, surely it's better that if there is something going on, they react whilst they're safe in a room with you, rather than reacting somewhere else and doing something terrible. If they do burst into tears, that's fine. That's what quite often happens when people start to release things. But they need to do that. You don't need to solve their problems. You don't need to dry their tears. You just need to be there for them. You're quite right. You're not a doctor. You're not a psychiatrist, and we're not asking you to be. What we're asking you to do is to start the conversations and, if appropriate, involve the correct professionals. And it's very easy to say people just need to pull themselves together. But actually some people can't. They need some kind of assistance in doing that. And those kind of comments can actually really be destructive to people. So what I'd like to do is to try and first of all get rid of some of the discomfort we feel around dealing with mental health. And the first thing is just to think about if we treated physical ill health the same way that some people treat mental ill health. I'm going to talk through now a few reactions that people might often give to someone with mental ill health and apply them to physical ill health and see how ridiculous they sound. Someone with a broken arm, would you really say, why don't you just snap out of it? Someone who's got cancer, would you say, just get over it, everyone's got problems, you know? Someone who's had their leg amputated, oh, it's just a scratch. Someone with diabetes, why don't you just learn to eat better? Someone with Parkinson's disease, just sit still, will you? Now, when you say things like that, you just think, we'd never say that to someone. That's really awful. How can we say that? But that's exactly the type of behaviour that people have when we're talking about people's mental ill health. But the same principles apply.